Okay?
Were they given?
The issue had not
Were
been
these people?
decided.
Were the people under JGG given the ability to challenge their designation as an alien enemy?
Yes.
How?
They had that opportunity.
How?
They could have.
In what way?
They could have. I don't know. They could have.
I know you don't know because you don't know the case.
Yeah, so I mean, were you guys talking about due process? Like, what were you talking about previously?
Yeah.
So, like, what specifically, like the Alien Enemies Act?
Yeah, the robbing of due process rights to people who are alleged alien enemies.
Yeah, but do you think what do you think is illegal? His invocation of the Alien Enemies Act or the due process in the Alien Enemies Act?
I'm unsympathetic to his invocation of the Alien Enemies Act, but the constitutionality of that is still currently being litigated, so I can't make a comment as to whether or not that was constitutional or unconstitutional, but I do think that if like I was SCOTUS, I would probably rule that it's unconstitutional, but I mean, I'm not the supreme authority there. But the thing that I'm claiming as unconstitutional is that in multiple different cases by the Supreme Court, it's been ruled that people who are alleged alien enemies are given basically the ability to challenge their detention and the ability to litigate if they are an alien enemy, and the ability to have, you know, reasonable notice that they are deportable, and Donald Trump was not providing that.
So wait, can you give me an instance after the JGG or AARP case where Trump has violated that?
Why are you asking after JGG and AARP?
Because until then, it was constitutional for him to deport them without due process.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so if you want to open up Ludek versus Watkins, right, it actually does, right, say that they can be denied habeas, and that they're actually not just can be denied, is that the Supreme Court, right, and judicial branch is barred from interpreting its constitutionality, right? So
yes, Ludecky ruled that it is that the Supreme Court can't rule whether or not the declaration of a war is reviewable, like that, like the specific declaration of the war is non-reviewable. But it also said, Ludecky also said the additional question as to whether the person restrained is in fact an alien enemy 14 years or older may also be reviewed by the courts. That's a direct quote from Ludecky.
Yeah, so 14. I'm pretty sure. I know what you're talking about, right? Yeah, the additional question as to whether the person restrained in fact may also be
reviewed by the courts.
Whether the person restrained is in fact 14 years of age. Yeah, that's to determine their age, right? If you look at the first clause, and
well,
that's 14 years of age.
No, it's to tell whether the restrained person is in fact an alien enemy and is 14 years old. Both things.
No, but hold on, the clause. Okay, hold on. The connecting conjunction of or I mean like may, like, right? It says prior to that 14 years of age or older, so that's going to be semantically tied to the age, right? Not whether the fact they're an alien enemy.
So if you say the additional question as to whether the person is in fact an alien enemy 14 years or older may also be reviewed by the courts, that implies that both things are reviewable by the courts, and that's how Ludecky is also interpreted.
Yeah, I understand why you're assuming that, but let me find earlier in the case where they said that, right, the president only has the authority to determine that one. Just give me 1 second.
The president doesn't have the only authority to determine if somebody is an alien enemy. It has the only authority to determine if we're at war. That's what Ludecky ruled.
Yeah, I understand why you think that. Just let me find just where it says this. Give me.
Well, that's how Ludecky is interpreted by like almost every legal scholar.
Oh, sure. Hold on, just give me literally 1 second.
I mean, this all, like, my interpretation of Ludecky also complies with, like, what they ended up ruling in JGG, what they ended up ruling in AARP, what the Japanese immigrant case ruled.
Yeah, hold on. Bro, I know it says it somewhere. Like, I can't find it. Like, I never wrote this down. So I look down. Give me 1 second.
I mean, I can go through and read it again if you want me to, like, off stream. That's fine. I could read Ludecky again, but I'm telling you that this is the case.
You don't have to read it, bro. Just give me 1 second to just go through all of it and just find where, because I know it said this, bro, but I just can't find where.
I think you're understanding the case incorrectly.
No, like, bro, like, on God, like, I know I look dumb right now, but, like, on God.
No,
It's
no, it's not that you look dumb. It's that I've also read the case before, and I'm telling you how it's interpreted, and I'm telling you that I've read it before, the whole case or the whole SCOTUS opinion. That this is how it is. The fact that the president's determination of if we are at war is unreviewable by the courts, but the fact that if somebody is an alien enemy, 14 years or older, can be reviewed by the courts. And they also ruled that
this in the case. Continue.
They also ruled that I believe it was Ludecky that ruled that the Alien Enemies Board that they were using to determine if somebody is a Japanese immigrant complied with their due process rights.
Yeah. So the power with which Congress vested the president had to be executed by him through others. He provided for the removal of such enemies aliens as were deemed by the Attorney General to be dangerous. No, never mind. It's not it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Or maybe I was interpreting it wrong. Give me one more second.
And listen, it's okay.
Like 5 more.
Yeah, you're good. It's okay. It's okay if you're interpreting it wrong. That's fine. Like I'm not a constitutional scholar. I don't think that you are. That's okay. Like this is high level shit. It's okay.
Yeah. Or I'm not fine. I'll have to come back later and actually read the case to make sure that I'm not misinterpreting it. What do you think about if they're denying them habeas corpus, then how else would they know? I mean, whether or not it's actually an alien enemy, like if they don't have habeas corpus, because the purpose of habeas corpus is to determine that exactly. So if they're denying habeas corpus, why wouldn't we take my interpretation of that over yours?
If they're denying habeas corpus. Well, that's the whole thing, is that they're being they got struck down in JGG and in AARP because they were not giving people notice to file for habeas.
Yeah, Ludecky versus Watkins is what I'm talking about. If they say, right, like they're denying him habeas corpus, right, like denial of habeas corpus for release from detention under this order was affirmed by the court below. Isn't the whole purpose of habeas corpus to determine whether or not they're actually an alien enemy in this context?
It's to challenge the constitutionality of your holding. That is a way, but the way that they did it within Ludecky and with the Japanese internment camps is that they were put before an alien enemies board, which was head by the Attorney General, and they determined if they were an alien enemy over the age of 14. That's the way that worked, and they ruled that complied with their due process rights. And now in JGG, it ruled that the appropriate venue. So this is way later. JGG ruled that the appropriate venue to challenge was habeas corpus. But it also ruled that the alien enemies are entitled to habeas corpus, and they're entitled to what was it, like reasonable notice, and then
reasonable notice.
Yeah, and then immediately after SCOTUS ruled that, then they tried to deport them again within hours, and then they had to rule again in AARP that these people are entitled to reasonable notice. So they literally like ruled something, and then Trump ignored it, and then they had to rule it again.
Sure, yeah. I'll concede on that. I don't necessarily see what I was looking for.
That's okay.
Right, so can we talk about birthright citizenship instead? Because
yeah, sure.
I'm fully.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, so what do you think? What do you think of birthright citizenship? Do you think it's been legally established, and where?
Do I think it's been legally established? I think the plain text of the 14th Amendment.
Wait. Yeah. That question was a little bit ambiguous. Do you think undocumented immigrants who are not here lawfully and that do not have a permanent domicile, are they entitled to birthright citizenship? That's a better question. Sorry for making it ambiguous.
The immigrants wouldn't be entitled to do birthright citizenship. Their children would be.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, yeah, would they be entitled, with the children of these people who don't have a permanent domicile and are not here lawfully, would they be entitled to this, and where does it say that?
That's my understanding. I think that the clear text of the 14th Amendment shows that. I don't know the specific case law surrounding it, but I mean, I can Google around.
Quantum arc is a that's used, or like Father v. Doe, but I have arguments against that. I mean, if we look at the people who wrote the 14th Amendment, right, like, or that helped pass it, like Senator Howard, Senator Trumbull, they did say that subject to jurisdiction meant two things, right? Subject to the complete jurisdiction thereof, right, which meant not owing allegiance to any other country, not being subject to any foreign power. And then Senator Howard also said that, I'll just read out to you what he said. This amendment, which I've offered, is simply declaratory of what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law assisted in the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the U.S., but will include every other class of persons. And I got you with the source if you want it.
Yeah, sure. If you either DM it to me or yeah, sure.
I mean, it's hard to find, but yeah.
I mean, I've read this as well. Didn't Trumbull and Howard also say that a person subject to the jurisdiction is if they can be summoned in an American court?
Oh yeah. Do you know which page this is?
It depends on what document you're looking at.
This is the Congressional Globe containing the debates and proceedings of the first session of the 39th Congress. I'm on page 2890, but do you know, like, did they specifically use the word summon? Because I can, like, look inside this,
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I can look inside this document.
So what I haven't done a whole ton of reading on this. I mean, I feel like the plain text is pretty clear, but I mean, the thing that I wrote, it was it was called the Citizenship Clause, a Legislative History. It was on page 32. Let me tell you if it specifically links the quote.
The Citizenship Clause, legislation history.
A legislative history.
Yeah, okay, so I'm on the PDF. You said page 32?
Yeah.
And this is going to be 360 in the actual document, right? Or...
One more time?
I mean, yeah, I'm on a PDF right now. Is it going to be... Are you talking about like the whole book or like a specific PDF? Because this PDF is volume 60, issue 2. I don't think it contains the whole book. But...
I don't think it contains the whole book, no. So this is the thing that I'm citing here. The language relied upon by advocates of a restrictive reading was uttered entirely within the context of citizenship of tribal Indians. The language of full and complete jurisdiction refers to the legal immunities of these Indians, not in any way to immigrant populations within the United States. And the definition of the proponents offer that full and complete jurisdiction is a practical one, owing little to notions of ascription or consent. A person, Trumbull and Howard said, is subject to the jurisdiction if he or she can be summoned and sued in American court, and if he or she can be prosecuted criminally for actions taking place on United States soil. Wild and reservation Indians had, in essence, a limited extraterritoriality while on their territory, even though it was within the borders of the nation. They were, in Senator Trumbull's analogy, like Mexicans living in Mexico. I can keep going on if you want me to.
No, I see what you're writing, and I know what it's talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Because Howard and Trumbull brought up the question in this conversation about whether or not you can sue like a Navajo in court, right? Mm-hmm. However, this wasn't relevant to what the meaning is subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So I don't know where he got that. I mean, he kind of made an inference without like establishing like a bridge. Right, like he reached that conclusion without establishing why. Like I can read you the it's on one of these pages, right? He asks the question, right? Like are they subject to the complete jurisdiction thereof? I mean, we can't even sue them in court, right? However, I don't think that he meant that this means that they're subject to complete jurisdiction thereof.
Well, what the person would be saying that I'm citing is saying that because these people, like, the fact that he's using if they are summonable in court as a metric as to tell whether somebody is within our jurisdiction would mean that the Navajo Indian is not within our complete and total jurisdiction, and so is not subject to our jurisdiction, or is not like applicable under the 14th Amendment. But somebody who is summonable in court or is criminally triable would be subject to our jurisdiction, which it's my understanding that somebody who is born to illegal parents is summonable in U.S. court, so it would be under our jurisdiction.
Well, yeah, I'll just respond by saying, right, that could be one of the qualifiers. However, no language is used indicates that that's the only qualifier. And again, if we read, right, page 2890, they provide other qualifiers like, not owing allegiance to any other country, not being subject to any foreign power, and not being a foreigner or alien. So I feel like I would have to see the context in which they cite that. If you DM me a link through TikTok, I don't think you can post links in chat. I just don't think they work. But if you DM me, I think I already followed you, so my DM should be open to you. If you want to DM me a PDF, I can read more about it. All right, yeah, and I'll try to find that other quote. I mean, about like what's it called?
Ludecki?
Ludek versus Watkins, right? But I think it was a good, productive talk. All right, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, it was good talking. I hope we can chat again sometime.
Yep.
W guy. Rinyald, can you make me a mod in your YouTube chat? No. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I think my Twitch stream is all the way fucked up. I think it's really fucked up. Hold on, let me see how bad the connection is. Unstable. Wowie. The stream makes me want to 86 myself. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. So clever. So clever, aren't you? Tuck. Did you cook him? Who? The guy who I was just talking with? I don't know if I cooked him. I mean, I think I knew more about the deportations than he did, but that's fine. I've always thought that the subject to the jurisdiction thereof talking point was kind of unsatisfactory. By the way, Chatty, the requests are empty. I know that you were talking about coming up. I'm doing 1v1s, but if you want to come up and chat, it's open to you, buddy. Yeah, I've always found that the subject to the jurisdiction thereof argument that, like, I think John Eastman makes this argument too, is, like, pretty unsatisfying. I feel like we have a pretty clear understanding of what subject to the jurisdiction thereof means. And even if we granted that two of the framers intended it to mean this, that does, I would say that doesn't cloud the definition that's, provided in the 14th Amendment. I think subject to our jurisdiction is a very clear term. I think that it has a very clear meaning, and I think that
Hey, thanks for having me on. I want to say I like your poster, first of all, on the back. I like that Beavis and Butthead and the South Park poster.
I appreciate it.
Big fan of those. Both of those shows I'm a big fan of. Yeah, I just want to come up and say I feel like you're being disingenuous when you say that Trump is actively denying due process to the people that are being that he's trying to remove under the AEA right now, which that's not the case, obviously, because the Supreme Court, when he was trying to remove it, the determination of how much whether notice or how much notice had not been decided, right? And Trump had not made an attempt to deport those people. And so you're trying to say that they've been denied due process.
Wait, are you saying that he didn't make an effort to deport them, after JGG?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that you're saying that he was actively denying them due process on an issue that had not yet been determined by the courts. And then you said, then you made, So
I would say that I disagree on the fact that, Ludecki said that these people have the ability to challenge their detention, or the fact that they are an alien enemy over the age of 14. So the fact that Donald Trump was trying to usher these people onto planes as quickly as possible without giving them, like, reasonable notice and reasonable ability to file for habeas.
What that is at that point, there had been no decisions on what that is, what is required.
I could maybe be kind of, I could maybe be half sympathetic.
That's true.
Well, hold on. I could maybe be half sympathetic to that argument if immediately after. Well, I would love to be. I would love to finish. I would love to finish my point if I could. I could almost be half sympathetic.
I know you're trying hard here to spin it, but go ahead.
No, I'm not. I would be almost half sympathetic to that argument if immediately after JGG was decided or was kicked down, he wasn't immediately trying to usher them back onto planes and deport them within an hour. Like, I think we can all probably agree that meaningful notice doesn't mean a couple hours, right?
I don't know.
Really?
Why is it? I don't know. No, I don't.
Do you think it's reasonable to suspect that somebody is going to be able to get?
I don't think that we can.
Well, hold on. Do you think it's reasonable notice to expect somebody to get legal representation, file out, and try and get, like, a case going within a couple hours? Do you think that's reasonable notice?
It could be.
It's absolutely not.
It could be. I don't think that we can. I don't think that.
I would love for you to find any lawyer who says that meaningful notice means a couple hours.
Well, anyway, the point is that you tried to say that Trump had been actively denying them due process when that wasn't the case because it had not yet been decided.
Well,
So I
had
felt like
been.
you were being misleading when you were talking to that other guy. You were trying to say,
No,
look,
it's not misleading.
how Trump is
They
evil.
weren't given the ability
It
to
was.
challenge their designation as
And
an
you were
alien
saying
enemy.
that was
Wait,
an
no,
ex-
stop.
and then you cited that.
They
All right, well, I
weren't
just wanna finish what I'm
given
saying.
they
And
they
then you
weren't
cited
given
that as an-
they
you
weren't
cited
given
that as
the
an
ability.
example of Trump defying the Constitution to that.
Yes,
to that
because
guy.
they weren't given the ability to challenge their designation as an alien enemy, as is provided
I think
under
you know that
Ludecky.
you're wrong on that.
I'm not wrong.
You're wrong.
Where am I wrong?
You are.
Where am I wrong?
You tried to use that as an example to that one guy that you were speaking with, as an example to prove that Trump is openly defying the U.S. Constitution.
Yes, and he is.
When he was doing something that had not been decided by a courts.
Were they given
the issue had not
were
been
these people
decided.
were the people under JGG given the ability to challenge their designation as an alien enemy?
Yes,
How?
they had that opportunity.
How?
They could have.
In what way?
They could have. I don't know. They could have.
I know you don't know because you don't know the case.
Yeah.
If you wanna quiz me on the case that I've read about, go for it. But actually know anything
Yeah.
about the case first, please.
Yeah, I don't know all the specifics, and I will concede that you probably know more of the details on the actual case.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about the overall principle of you trying to say that Trump was actively defying
So
the Constitution.
if Ludecky
Which
v.
is
Watkins,
also not. You also did the same thing.
hold on. If
You
Ludecky v.
made the same
Watkins,
argument.
if Ludecky v. Watkins ruled that these people have the ability to challenge their designation as an alien enemy, and Trump was not providing them the opportunity to challenge their designation as an alien enemy, that is a violation of their
How
constitutional
were they
rights.
not provided that opportunity?
Because they weren't.
How?
Because there's reports of ICE officers saying, like, not answering any of the questions of the detainees, not explaining the thing that they were forced to sign in outside of their native language. That's not complying
That's not
with
true.
their
There
due
have been
process.
filings from the DOJ on that, refuting that, saying that they had been provided, that they were provided the instructions in their native language.
Can you tell me where to look that up?
I don't know. I saw it in on X. They had posted the case filings on it by. Well, what I mean, I don't have a Pacer account, so I can't go look at these, myself, But people were posting the actual documents on X, and I saw that when this was ongoing, when the litigation was ongoing, and the DOJ had filed a document saying that they had provided the instructions in their native language
To the JGG people.
Yes.
Okay. I'll look that up. Let's see. JGG native language documents. I figure that'll probably come up.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna follow you because I feel like you're someone that you can actually have real conversations about this. A lot of people on TikTok, are unwilling to look stuff up or when they're challenged on stuff. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I do want to say though that I do have to hop down.
Uh-huh.
But I'm gonna follow you, and I want to come up some other time and have more discussions with you. But I got to watch The Last of Us tonight before I go to sleep. I don't know if you're a fan of that show, but new episode just dropped tonight, season 2, episode 6.
I haven't. I don't watch much TV. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, dude, you got to watch that. Have you not played the game?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, I followed you, man. I want to come up some more and talk with you about this, especially the Abrego Garcia case. That's fascinating.
I'm sure we
too.
could. I'm sure we could have a lot of discussion on
Yeah, for sure.
Abrego Garcia case.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep, you too. Yeah, I don't see anything on the court listener. Maybe.